fuselage is synonymous with the fury. Green and gold, the adopted colours of Manchester United supporters who see too much red on the club's balance sheet. What started as a colourful show of dissent has evolved into a full-blown movement. Around 5,000 United fans hit the picket lines before a recent match against Spurs to protest about the handling of the club by its American owners, the Glazers. Catalyst for the protest was the publication of United's latest financial figures. Over £500 million in debt and paying out £40 million a year in interest payments alone. The fans believe the Glazers are simply using club funds to support their takeover. And now they're demanding action. In the shadows of Old Trafford lie the headquarters of the Manchester United Supporters Trust. In these small, cramped offices, a campaign is being waged to oust the Glazers from power. I met the Trust's Vice Chairman, Sean Bones.
You know, the money that comes into the club, that comes out of supporters' pockets, we're paying twice as much as we were when it was a PLC. And that money is actually going on debt repayments. We're making record turnovers, but they're not able to sustain the debt that's going out of the club. And if you compare it to the owners of Manchester City, the owners of Chelsea, those owners are actually pumping their own money into the football club. And what we have here with the Glazer family is that they're actually pumping money out. They're leeching as much money as they can out of Manchester United. If you look at how much money the Glazers have already taken out of Manchester United, somewhere in the region of 470 million. And you know, when you look at the recent Rooney debacle, it kind of shows you that we're now in a position that we're not able to hold on to our best players like we were in the past. So I think that the debt is having quite a serious effect on the club and its ability to compete. When we were a PLC, we invested over £80 million in the 4 years before the Glazers took over, above net. But since the Glazers have been in, they've hardly invested above net in any of the players, although they did promise to do. They promised to spend something like 25 million a season, and they haven't done that.
Manchester United, one of the world's most successful, prestigious and profitable football clubs. A licence to print money, according to one former boss. Old Trafford, as the saying goes. An empire built on decades of tradition, loyalty and love, little of which extends to the current owners.
No, get them out. I mean, Rooney says it all. He loved United and now he knows there's no ambition with the Glazers at the club, so get them out.
The date is just ridiculous, and a club like Man United should never have a date like that.
From my point of view, they're milking the club's money, and they're milking me as a supporter, and they're just a dead weight and they need to go.
I don't think we're in a dangerous position, no, I don't think that. But I don't like the Glazers.
Here are the Glazers, the men who have so enraged Manchester United supporters. But debt alone isn't necessarily that much of a problem. The Premier League is football's debt capital of Europe, with a combined total of £3.4 billion, eclipsing the rest of the continent's clubs put together. So what's the issue? It was no secret the Glazers bought United using borrowed money. It was a common business practice secured against their stateside business ventures. But up until this year, the Glazers didn't have to make details of their accounts public. But now they do, and it makes some interesting reading. The last account of United as a PLC shows an impressive portfolio with strong matchday, media, corporate and commercial figures and an average season ticket price of a reasonable £487. Since the takeover, the ever-increasing popularity of Manchester United and football as a global game have seen most elements of the business soar, as has the price of a season ticket, up almost 50% to £722 to your average paying fan. So, what are they doing with all the extra cash that they're making? One thing they aren't doing is reinvesting it in the team. The period between 2000 and 2005 saw the PLC spend over £150 million on players, at a net average of almost £25 million a season. Since 2005, the Glazers spent roughly the same, but have offset that with large player sales, meaning the net spend is under £2 million a year. Before selling to the Glazers, the PLC were making ample cash. Almost £170 million turnover and a net profit of approaching £50 million in the last year of ownership. 5 years on and the money coming into the club continues to rise. The operating profits topped the £100 million mark for the first time, but the club astonishingly posted an £80 million net loss, due mainly to the high value interest payments and one-off fees to administer debts. Indeed, The full scale of just how much money the Glazers are taking out of Manchester United is only made apparent over the full 5 years of the tenure. Between 2000 and 2005, the PLC posted a turnover of £725 million. Over the same period of time, the Glazers have amassed almost £1 billion. However, whereas the PLC were turning that cash into healthy profits, £112 million over 5 years, the Glazers have squandered virtually all of the £1 billion they've made. An actual bottom line profit of £10 million made out of 5 years in office from the game's most commercially successful club. No wonder the natives are on the march. So the football club are making more money than ever, but huge proportions are going straight back out. The club have refused to provide a statement clarifying their stance, but legally the Glazers are doing nothing wrong. They're paying the creditors on time, and the value of their asset is continuing to rise. On field, United have been as successful as ever over the past 5 years. So how safe is the club?
I think all of this will increase fans' concerns that they see a huge level of turnover, a real level of commercial success, but much of the proceeds of that are going outside of the club, largely in the form of debt interest payments, rather than being reinvested into the club in a way that can ensure their position as a top European, indeed global footballing team. So I think those figures themselves reveal, and those trends reveal, that it isn't a particularly sustainable model, and I'm not sure how long Manchester United will be able to command the levels of support and commercial turnover that they currently do, unless they can sustain success on the pitch. If that can't be done, then I think other things potentially are at risk also.
The conundrum for United fans is that the more successful the club are, the more money the club will make. The richer the Glazers will become, and they keep hold of the business. I put that to Sean Bones. Just how do they propose to get rid of the Glazers?
As an individual, I believe that Manchester United supporters as a whole have the power to remove the Glazer family. I think that it's important to know that the supporters don't want the power. You know, the supporters don't want to own the club in the sense of power. They want the club to be run for the benefit of the supporters, so that the revenues that come into the club go back into, you know, there's more investment, there's cheaper seat prices, there's stadium expansion, there's more things done for the United community. We want the proper professional people to run the club, but we want it to be run for the benefit of supporters. So it isn't like supporters are craving power to take over the club. It's just a case of we want, you know, the revenue that comes into the club to be for the good of the Manchester United community.
At the moment, these fans can only stand outside the halls of power, and until the Glazers wish to sell, they can do sweet FA. John Baines, Sky Sports.